Cameron, the suggestion that you're comparing the step change scenarios with what they call progressive scenarios. So, Cameron, in that sense, is it comparing apples and oranges when the coalition is saying there'll be a discount of 44% on the energy costs by 2050?
Yeah, that 44% number, Kieran, involves a shift in approach, if you like, from the market operator. So it kind of has these two roads that it looks at going down. They call one step change, one progressive. And the core of that really is just a different mix of energy. It's a look at the changing investment between the two, the time frame as well. So the high watermark, if you like, of that 595 figure, we might better bring up the comparison between the two just to show people. The 595 figure that it's landed on, $1 billion for the government's case, that involves what's known as the step change process. It's currently AEMO's preferred and most likely scenario. But the roadmap the coalition is now putting out there would involve a different approach. So the low watermark, if you like, the best case scenario is this 331 figure that they've put out today. Now, there's another figure that if there wasn't to be a change in approach from AEMO of 446 billion. So that 331 figure would rise if there wasn't a dramatic change, of course, from AEMO, the market operator, but nuclear was added to the mix. So it is still an improvement in cost, Kieran, but would not be as significant if AEMO didn't change its approach. One other point that's worth making too, I think, and I'm trying to just chase clarity from the coalition as well, from going through these two reports, there is no mention of the impact on household power bills. We still do not know how much, if at all, the coalition believes its plan would bring household bills down from the next election. We know they've savaged the government over that $275 promise that likely isn't going to be met. The coalition yet to put a figure on its own plan, from what I can see from these figures, of how much households will benefit either in the short or the medium term. They've ruled out subsidies through the construction phase, Kieran, so that remains a question. Even if the overall plan is cheaper, what's the impact for households? We don't yet know.
It is an ambitious goal that they've set here, 38% of the energy mix by 2050, Ross Greenwood. That would take us, as Cameron reported, to 8th in the world of nations with nuclear as a percentage of their energy supply. Ambitious by the 2050 timeline, also in terms of construction constraints that certainly the economy is facing at the moment, Ross.
And then on top of that, you've got to consider what state governments' attitudes would be as well. Some of the Labor state governments already have indicated that they would not allow nuclear plants on their states. So this would need some federal intervention. There's one other aspect of it, not just the building of it, trying to find the scientists to be able to do it. So you're right, it's highly ambitious, probably one of the most ambitious infrastructure projects that Australia would have ever embarked upon. It is ironic to note, of course, that Australia is the 4th largest producer of uranium in the world. And so we export uranium for power generation around the world. It's simply that we don't use it ourselves. Also worth remembering that Western Australia still has a ban on mining of uranium in this country. But one reason why the Labor Party and many people will object about what the coalition is considering today and these costings is effectively what it will do to the rollout of renewables. In other words, if government were in the future to intervene in the energy markets and start to say, well, we're going to build our own generation, we will build our own nuclear power plants that will compete with wind and solar generation, will that be a disincentive for the big players here in Australia, the likes of the Brookfields, the likes of AGL, the likes of Origin, from going out and rolling out their own renewables to be able to try and meet those 2030 and then 2050 targets? And that, I think, is going to be a key in regards to the argument against what the coalition is saying right now as to whether this ultimately skews Australia's energy markets and pricing, and therefore takes away the incentive for other developers to roll out other forms of renewables in Australia.
Ross Greenwood, Cam Reddin, great to get your immediate analysis. Thank you both.